All right, guys, welcome back to the One for Row podcast. Today, we're going to be covering NVIDIA, which a lot of you may know is the leading AI powerhouse in the modern AI race. I find this company really interesting, and particularly because of who the CEO is, Jensen Huang. So we're going to be covering him, his origin story, and how this all began. So let's get into it. So before NVIDIA, there were GPUs. Before the fame, Jensen Huang was just a 9-year-old immigrant kid dropped into one of the roughest environments imaginable. His parents sent him and his brother to the U.S. with almost no money. They were placed in a school by mistake, a reform academy in rural Kentucky. Now, see, that's what makes Jensen Huang relatable to a lot of people, especially if you're listening to this podcast. You're probably in the Middle Tennessee area. So this guy being from Kentucky, I think is really cool. You know, he's not a Silicon Valley, tech guy. Well, he is a tech guy, but he's not one of those guys who was born into it. He didn't go to Yale. He didn't go to Harvard. He was an immigrant that was sent over here by his parents, pretty much with him and his brother, and they just had to make it happen, and they ended up in Kentucky, which is not something that most people would expect. I mean, this wasn't a prep school. It was an alternative school from what I understand, and his job was to clean the bathrooms. And he barely spoke English. He got bullied. He got beat up. He had to learn how to survive, and he definitely learned how to work. So 2 years later, his parents finally made it to America with basically nothing but the clothes on their back. His mom worked as a maid. His dad hunted for engineering jobs through newspaper classifieds. That was the foundation, not a privilege, not connections, not wealth, just grit, discipline, and they believed that America would give you a chance. Those early years shaped everything that came next. He then eventually made his way to Oregon State University, where he studied electrical engineering and met his future wife, Lori, which was his lab partner. He worked a graveyard shift at Denny's as a dishwasher, busboy, and waiter. Then he moved to Silicon Valley, AMD, then LSI Logic, designing microchips while raising 2 kids and grinding through Stanford night classes to earn his master's degree. So, guys, he was not born into this tech royalty. He's not Sam Altman or anybody like that. He built himself into it. Then the birth of NVIDIA. In 1993, Jensen and 2 fellow engineers, Chris Michalkowski and Curtis Priam, met at a Denny's in San Jose. This just so happened to be where Jensen once worked as a dishwasher. They sat in a booth, ordered cheap coffee, and sketched out the idea for a company that would build graphic chips for PC games. They started with $600. They had no idea how hard it would be. They had no idea how close they'd come to dying. But they had a vision. Graphics-based computing was the future. They incorporated the company. They named it NVIDIA from the Latin word envy, and they got to work. The early years were brutal. The first chip failed. They burned through cash. They laid off half the company. They had 1 month of payroll left. At one point, the company survived only because Sega gave them a $5 million lifeline. That pressure became NVIDIA's unofficial motto. We are always 30 days from going out of business. Jensen repeated that constantly, not to scare people, but to keep them sharp. That mindset shaped NVIDIA's culture. Hungry, paranoid, and relentless. The GPU revolution. NVIDIA invented the GPU, and that changed the world. The Rival 128 saved the company. The GeForce 256 made them a leader, and the GPU became the foundation for modern computing. It revolutionized gaming. It unlocked high-quality 3D graphics. It opened the door to parallel computing, which is the backbone of AI. NVIDIA didn't just make graphic chips, they built the engine for the next era of technology. Now, I want to get into what exactly a GPU is. A GPU, or a graphic processing unit, is a specialized processor designed to handle massive amounts of data at the same time. Instead of doing one big task after another like a CPU, a GPU slices a huge problem into thousands of tiny pieces and works on all of them in a parallel. That's why it's perfect for 3D graphics, gaming, and now, of course, artificial intelligence. So here's the difference. A CPU is the brain, a powerful core built for complex sequential tasks. A A GPU is the muscle, thousands of smaller cores built to crush repetitive operations at once. There are two main types. Integrated GPUs, built into the same chip as the CPU, great for everyday tasks like browsing, streaming, and basic graphics. Dedicated GPUs, the heavy hitters, a separate piece of hardware with its own high-speed memory. These are what gamers use, creators rely on, and AI researchers depend on. And then uses are everywhere. Gaming, calculating lighting, textures, physics, and building entire 3D worlds in real time. Content creation, speeding up rendering in Premiere, Blender, CAD, and anything that needs heavy visuals. And of course, last but not least, AI and machine learning, performing the massive linear algebra operations that train deep learning models and large language models. In simple terms, CPUs think and GPUs build. And in the age of AI, the builders are running the world. So the AI takeover, which is what we're all hearing about, guys, it's all over the news. This is where NVIDIA stopped being a gaming company and became the heartbeat of the AI boom. Their GPUs power AI training and inference in data centers across the world. Their systems can link tens of thousands of GPUs together like one giant supercomputer. Their software stacks run autonomous vehicles, robotics, healthcare, and scientific research. If AI is the new gold rush, NVIDIA is selling the shovels and the land and the maps and the trucks. That's why the company's value exploded past $1 trillion, then $2 trillion, $3 trillion, and up to $5 trillion. No company in history has ever risen that fast. A little bit more about Jensen. Jensen doesn't keep an office. He roams the building. He runs a flat structure with dozens of direct reports. He doesn't wear a watch because now is the most important time. He's intense. He's focused. He's obsessed with execution. His net worth soared past $200 billion. Crowds follow him in Taiwan like he's a rock star. People call it Jensanity. I can't even say that. Let me see if I can get that out. Jensanity. He still thinks about America with gratitude. He still talks about his parents' sacrifices. He still remembers breaking a cheap coffee table as a kid and seeing the fear in his mom's eyes because they couldn't afford to replace it. That's the fire behind the empire. And a little side note again on Jensen, guys, when you're looking at these companies and maybe you're considering investing, you have to look at the CEO. Okay, a CEO like Jensen is the kind of guy that I would imagine most of us all would want to get behind. He's not, privileged. He wasn't born into it. He's really just, from his sheer will, building NVIDIA. And not only has he built the biggest company in the world as of today, he's also more of a philanthropist as well. So he's donated millions to education, public health, AI diversity programs, mental health innovation, and other major institutions across the U.S. They matched a $22.5 million fundraising effort for the California College of Arts. They've supported organizations from the Monterey Bay Aquarium to AI for All. This isn't a CEO who cashed out. This is someone who is reinvesting in the world that gave him a shot. So today, NVIDIA, again, one of the most powerful companies on earth. Its GPUs are so valuable, they're shipped in armored trucks. Demand is so high that entire production runs sell out before they've even announced. Tech giants compete, sometimes they even beg for access to the latest chips. NVIDIA isn't just making hardware, it's building platforms, architectures, and AI ecosystems that shape entire industries. This is no longer a graphics company, this is an AI infrastructure empire. So guys, the story of NVIDIA and Jensen Huang proves something powerful. A kid cleaning toilets in Kentucky can grow up to run the world's most valuable company. A small idea in a diner can change the world. A company on edge of collapse can become a global giant. And the future belongs to the people who build the tools everyone else needs. NVIDIA isn't just part of the AI revolution, it's driving it. So, we've covered NVIDIA, the biggest powerhouse in AI. Thanks for tuning in, guys.